Okay, well, George, at 57 years of age, most guys would like to put their feet up, maybe have a beer and watch television on or sport on television. In your case, no.
No way, because why should all the young people have fun? I'm only still young yet.
You're not just swinging on the end of this for a bit of ballast?
No, I'm keeping him under control.
Okay, what we're going to see now is a soaring competition, and it's a handicap event. Can the Fosters get up again?
Is this the sore point of the show, Darryl?
Now, let me tell you this. These fellows can get through a log with a saw quicker than you and I could get through with a bandsaw. Here they go. Through. Keep going. Will they win it? Oh, really tough stuff. They've got it! The Foster family's done it again. There they are. 46 stone of them. All happy. We'll leave you now from the smallest sporting ground in Australia tonight to the Melbourne Cricket Ground, Alan Jones.
Well, this is it, the Melbourne Cricket Ground, one of the great sporting theatres of the world. And on the Mitsubishi Diamond Vision scoreboard, you can see Australia's greatest ever sportsman, Sir Donald Bradman, who scored his first Test century on this ground in 1929 and almost 20 years later scored a century in each innings of a Test match. And it was on this ground in 1956 that Melbourne became the focus of world attention with the Olympic Games. You know, per head of population, Australia's created more world champions than any other nation on earth. And Ray, you're a sporting nut. You'd know where all this obsession began. Our first European settlers were from Great Britain, then the most sports-conscious nation on earth. We've got a beautiful climate, you can play sport all the year round, and there's no shortage of open space. And it was grounds like this that it became possible for the first time to play cricket and football on the one turf, something unheard of in England. Because we're such a vast continent, sport became the common link between us all, uniting our country like nothing else until Gallipoli came along. And in the eyes of the world, our first international successes were in sport, in tennis and cricket, and at the Paris Olympic Games. And in recent times, who'll ever forget the national euphoria generated by our America's Cup heroes, John Bertrand, Ben Lexon and Alan Bond. Yes, we've got plenty of heroes, and there's nothing wrong with sporting heroes. If their dedication and their discipline, their commitment and their mateship were ever translated into the nation at large, Australia would be unstoppable. But you know, however successful sportsmen become, it seems some secretly dream of playing up front in a rock and roll band.
Alan, we're going to have to hold it there, though. We're going to have to hold you for a moment. They don't play rugby in that hallowed ground, do they? They play another funny game, don't they?
No, they don't. They play another funny game. They played pretty well.
Yeah, all right, we've got to go. In fact, we're concerned about this Russian window, so we've got to cross to space fairly soon, Yana. So we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll give you that special rock and roll group with the Ace Sportsman. We'll come back later. Let's take a break first up.
As we prepare to go to space, the Shadow line has just reached the furthest point east in Australia, where Dirk Hartog nailed his plate. And here in Parkes in New South Wales, if the sky is clear, from the observatory they can see the Southern Cross and all the other constellations of the southern sky picked out brilliantly overhead. And out there at the radio telescope is the Minister of Science, Barry Jones, right now.
Well, Clive, it's a filthy night here, not a star to be seen, but at the Parkes radio telescope it doesn't matter if the sky is cloudy or not. Parkes works day and night picking up radio signals from outer space. It's not like an optical telescope which depends on light. Australia's always been pretty good at traditional astronomy, but we were pioneers in radio astronomy. CSIRO's great radio telescope at Parkes with a 64-metre receiving dish has been in business since 1961. Parkes has done vital work in identifying quasars and pulsars, new astronomical phenomena, in picking up the pictures of the first manned landing on the moon in 1969. In 1986 it covered Voyager 2's mission to Uranus and gave the world those extraordinary colour images as Giotto's probe passed by the nucleus of Halley's Comet. In 1988, CSIRO's Australia telescope, centred in Kulgura, will be commissioned as the scientific high point of the bicentennial year. In the 1990s, there will be a new lease of life for Parkes, working with NASA's radio telescope at Tidbinbilla near Canberra, and it will actually be part of the Australia Telescope complex. Soon Australia will collaborate on a project to put a telescope in space. Parkes and all the other wonderful things we're doing in astronomy in Australia are part of a great international effort in the peaceful use of space, working with many nations.
Thank you, Barry Jones. Well, here in Australia, the conquering of enormous distance has been the key to our very existence, both to the discovery of our country and its exploration. Today's technology has made it possible for us to expand our horizons beyond those of the known world. Within this program tonight, we visited people all over Australia and around the world, but none as distant as the men we're about to meet. At this moment, 360 kilometres in space and orbiting our planet is the Soviet Union's permanently manned spacecraft known as Mir. With the cooperation of the Soviet Space Agency Globkosmos and through the technical facilities of Gostel Radio, we are tonight able to speak directly to those men who are challenging the frontiers of human exploration. But right now we're trying to cross live to the Moscow Space Centre control room to join Joe Adamov as our interpreter. Good evening, Joe.
Good evening, Happy New Year, Australia, and happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Joe, the two men on board the spacecraft, now they've just executed a successful exchange, haven't they? How long will they be on board?
Well, it's not very certain how long they will be on board. They say maybe a year, maybe less, maybe more. The previous crew was almost 11 months. That is, Yuri Romanenko was. We saw him on television a few days ago with his family and children. A very touching sight indeed. You see, these long stays in space are basically meant as maybe a preparation for something that we hope may come about at the turn of the century. That is, a manned space mission to Mars. Maybe it'll be a joint mission, who knows, with the United States or some other country. We hope it'll come about someday. So we're getting ready for it.
Okay, Joe, let's try and speak directly to the men on board with your help. I'll try and ask them whether they can tell us exactly where they are and show us what they're seeing.
Well, if you look at the map behind me, it's the map of the world. There's a illuminated dot. It shows exactly their position over our globe. But before we speak to the men in space, I would just like to say a few words about what the Mir space station is.
Sure.
It has 6 docking ports. I will address the men in a few seconds, but I would like to tell you that it can simultaneously dock with 6 scientific modules. And the men you're going to talk to today have been up in space just for a few days. Today is the birthday of the commander, Vladimir Titov. All right, what is it that you'd like to ask them?
Well, I wonder if we can take a look at what they can see from their spacecraft.
All right, I will get in touch with the men in space. Здравствуйте, товарищи космонавты.
Добрый день. Добрый день.
Поздравляю вас с Новым годом и поздравляю Володю с днем рождения.
Большое спасибо.
I congratulated Vladimir with his birthday today and wished him a happy new year. Вас спрашивают из Австралии, что вы сейчас видите, где вы находитесь и что видно из мира?
Мы сейчас находимся на границе от Польши и Советского Союза.
It says we're on the border of the Soviet Union and Poland.
На территории Советского Союза и в зоне наземных пунктов измерительных
He
Советского
says
Союза.
we're in a zone which
Сейчас мы можем
can be
видеть
seen
Черное
from the
море,
earth.
далее пойдет Каспий,
We'll fly over the Caspian,
Памир, Тибет.
then the Pamir Mountains, Tibet,
И где-то минут через 30-35 мы будем над Австралией.
and about 35 minutes from now, they said, we'll be over Australia.
Наша трасса будет проходить как раз между городами Мельбурн и Сидней.
Our flight path will pass between Melbourne and Sydney, says Commander Titov.
Fantastic. Well,
Yes, Australia.
we are celebrating 200 years of nationhood down here, but from where the two of you are, that must seem pretty insignificant, I suppose.
Австралия говорит, мы сейчас празднуем свое 200-летие, но там с вашей высоты, вероятно, это не имеет особого значения для вас.
Но почему нет?
Why, he says, I don't agree with you. It is a significant event.
Во всяком случае, Австралия мы на предыдущем витке смотрели.
We looked at Australia
Немного в стороне,
in the previous orbit.
освещенная огнями, очень красивая.
It looks very beautiful from up here.
What exactly, I know that you're 360 kilometres away from us. What exactly can you see when you look down?
А когда вы, you mean, what can they see in Australia?
Yeah.
А что вы, когда смотрите на Австралию, что вы видите?
Мы видим прежде всего красивый континент нашей планеты.
We see one of the most beautiful continents of our planet.
Can they see the lights
Yes,
of the cities?
Australia?
Can they see? I'm
I beg
sorry.
your pardon?
Can you see
What
the
did you say?
lights? Can you see? My colleague is asking whether you can see the lights of the cities.
А скажите, когда вы уже в тени пролетаете над Австралией, вы огни больших городов видите?
Мы видим огни больших городов, особенно красив Мельбурн.
He says we see
Он
the lights of the big
расположен
cities.
вдоль побережья
We see
океана.
Melbourne on
И
the
смотрится
shore of
очень
the
красиво.
ocean, and we see the lights of the city very clearly.
When you have this,
Очень красивые грозы,
Что вы говорите?
вспышки гроз на земле, очень красиво.
He says there are very beautiful spots that they see from up there.
when you are
Everything
this
else-
far away from our planet, does it change your perspective?
Когда вот вы находитесь на такой огромной высоте, вы как-то иначе смотрите на мир или нет?
Нет, нельзя сказать, что наше
He says our
ощущение
attitude
мира
does not change from up here.
Наша Земля удивительно красивая. и
The
свойственна.
planet is very beautiful to look at,
И здесь, конечно, острее понимаешь, что ее нужно сберечь для
and
будущих
being up
поколений.
so high
для-
above the earth, you sense very vividly that we have to preserve this planet for mankind, preserve peace on earth.
Gentlemen, you're
Anything
facing
else, Australia?
gentlemen, I think you're facing a long haul up there. How do you look at
Yeah.
possibly a year in space?
Говорят, что вы, может быть, даже целый год пробудете в космосе.
Во всяком случае, быстро на Землю не собираемся.
Whatever happens, he says, we don't intend to return back to Earth soon.
У нас широкая и большая программа, так что
We have a very
будем её
extensive
выполнять.
scientific program that has to be fulfilled.
All right. Well, can
Okay.
we wish Commander Titov a very happy birthday and a happy new year and continued success with your mission.
Вам Австралия желает успехов и счастливо встретить свой день рождения. Последнее сообщение, может быть, какое-нибудь хотите передать австралийцам с честь 200-летия?
Спасибо за
Thank you
поздравления.
for my birthday greetings.
Мы
We
взаимно поздравляем народ
would
Австралии
like
с
to
наступившим Новым
congratulate Australia with the new
годом,
year
славным её
and with the
200-летним
bicentennial.
юбилеем.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, and thank you
And
to
we
you
were
too,
very
Joe.
happy, says Commander Titov, we're very happy to take part in this program.
Okay,
Спасибо вам,
our very
товарищи.
best wishes,
Желаем
Joe.
вам успехов.
До свидания.
Thank you, Australia, and let me conclude this program from Moscow, from the Mission Control Center, by wishing Australia a happy birthday and a happy new year. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe.